Good morning and happy Wednesday to you. We are halfway through the week. It is certainly flying by. Fantastic to see your feedback from yesterday, hearing about where you are in your reality with your fitness journey and hearing some of the things you're planning to do. So that's brilliant news. Today, day 3, I said we're going to talk about food. Food. Okay, I came across a great quote to start with. Hippocrates, a Greek philosopher, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." Ooh, that's a deep one for this early on a Wednesday morning. Let food be thy medicine. Hi, Melanie. And let medicine be thy food. That's deep, but it's very, very true. Now, food, so much more than fuel for our bodies. Good morning, Lorna. Good to see you. So food, so much more than fuel. Our palate and habits around food develop as very young children. We learn about food from so many different places. Parents, school, friends, television adverts, a drink's too wet without one. And what was that one for Milky Way? So one of them helps you work, rest and play, allegedly. Food, and is often used as a reward. Certainly as children, to get us to the dentist, we were allowed a trip to the sweet shop afterwards. Oh, the irony. So thankfully, we're not old dogs and we can learn new tricks. So many of us have tried every diet in the book. So I come across people who have been doing diets forever, what feels like forever, decades and decades. They've tried Weight Watchers, Slimming World, the F-Plan diet. Remember Audrey Ayton? The hip and thigh. The list goes on and on. For a while they work and then they don't, okay? And the massive issue I have nowadays with all these, with many of these diets, is that they are actually, these companies are not pushing weight loss and fitness. They are pushing processed food. They're saying you can't have an avocado. You have to have a processed packet instead, with this many sins in it, because you're counting sins or you're counting points. And these slimming companies are actually brainwashing you into telling you, you can't make your own decisions about food. No. You have to buy our ready-made processed bars, shakes, meals, okay, in order to succeed. And that is just not true. Okay. What we need to do is to fuel our bodies so that we can lead the life we choose and we want to. Okay, processed and convenience foods have their food intake has increased massively over the last 40 years due to many reasons. One of them could be time, available time in order to cook. But there are many other reasons too why people have turned to more processed foods, more ready-made food. This is interesting. Now, in 2013, a study called the PREDIMED study started in 2013. 7,400 overweight, middle-aged Spanish men and women randomly were allocated to either follow a Mediterranean diet or a low-fat diet. Both groups were encouraged to have lots of fruit and vegetables, pulses, and low sugary foods and low amounts of processed meat. Okay. Those that were allocated the Mediterranean diet were encouraged to eat lots of eggs, nuts, oily fish, olive oil, some dark chocolate, and occasional glasses of wine. In contrast, the low-fat group were told to eat low-fat products and plenty of starchy foods, bread, potatoes, pasta, and rice. And researchers followed the volunteers for years. Within 3 years, dramatic differences occurred between the two groups. Now, the Mediterranean diet, okay, that group had a 58% reduction in their risk of getting type 2 diabetes, a 30% reduction in the risk of heart attacks and strokes, and a 51% decrease in the risk of breast cancer. Okay, so that's massive. So that group who were having the Mediterranean diet, so just to remind you, plenty of eggs, nuts, oily fish, olive oil, some dark chocolate, and the occasional glasses of wine, plus lots of fruit and vegetables and pulses and a reduced sugar and a reduced processed meat. They were distinctly healthier. They were so much healthier than those people who were still eating lots of fruit and veg, but were following a low-fat diet, okay? So what is considered a healthy diet has changed over the years. If you want to lose weight and improve your health, move towards the following. Cutting back on sugars. Now, sugar can be overtly sugary, so things like cakes, biscuits, sweets, okay? But also, if you're eating a lot of processed foods, savoury foods contain sugar as well, because to make them palatable. Cut down on starchy white carbohydrates, so things like crumpets, white bread, white pasta, white rice, and go for whole grain instead. Granary or wholemeal bread, spaghetti, and just kind of consider your portion sizes. Look at how much processed food you're eating, and you can generally tell by how processed it is by how long the ingredient list is, all right? I've got some interesting books down there by Tim Spector, who's really looked into processed food eating and how it has it can have a really negative effect on our health. Because it can affect our gut biome, all those billions of tiny little organisms in our gut. Obviously, they want variety, they want colour, they want you to be having, 30 different types of plants each week. But that's another completely different subject. But I want you to be thinking about how processed are the things in your trolley. Can you move towards buying things that don't come in packets, that you cook from scratch as much as you can? How can you work that into your busy life? Okay, thinking about your meal prep. Every single person on this group is in different circumstances. As we talked about yesterday, how can you maybe review the food that's on your plate? So we've said about less sugar, less starchy white carbs, less processed food. Increase your how much of healthy fats that you eat. So things like nuts, seeds, avocados, oily fish, and full fat dairy, okay? So it will fill you up quicker if you have full fat dairy. So as with any of these things, it's about moderation. You're not going to go and eat 3 gallons of full fat Greek yogurt, okay? But it's about move away from having the more processed stuff. And certainly it was quite a big thing for me, having worked with Rosemary Conley, to then move towards full fat dairy. But, that's what I'm doing with my yogurt. But the thing about milk is that it's got to depend on your palate. I personally hate full fat milk in anything. So I still have my semi-skim milk. That's absolutely fine. This is about what you enjoy. Okay, now eat plenty of protein. Protein is filling. So protein comes from things like meat, fish, eggs, dairy, pulses, tofu, lots of different things have protein in them, okay? There are 2 types of protein. It's all about the amount of amino acids in them. But certainly keep your protein intake certainly high. Okay, well, they're talking about 50 to 60 grams of protein a day to fill you up. And keep it varied and keep it interesting. Remember to have lots of green and colourful vegetables. If you can eat seasonally, they're going to taste of vegetables rather than eating a tomato in January. And if you shut your eyes, you can't even tell what it is. So by eating seasonally, the food is going to be fresher, it's going to be more tasty, and it's going to be more cost effective as well. Think about your whole grains and pulses, have plenty of those. I'm a great advocate and buyer of tinned pulses. I personally don't have time to soak my beans and boil my beans, so I just get tins. But red lentils, the stuff that your kids often do gluing and sticking with, those red lentils can be sprinkled into any soups, stews or casseroles. They don't need pre-cooking. You don't taste them. They just add thickness. They add fibre. Okay, they add bulk. So if you haven't got a lovely big jar of red lentils by your cooker, go get one. Avoiding snacking and late night grazing, okay, is another way of helping you in time lose weight. And I'll talk about that, the weight, in a minute. Drink plenty of water containing fluids, okay? Review your caffeine and alcohol intake, okay? It's another massive subject, caffeine. So we're not going to talk about it particularly today, but it's a stimulant, okay? So by having less of it, your bladder will thank you, your concentration will help you, will thank you. Caffeine is another subject, but see, are you drinking a lot of it? If you're weeing a lot in the night, consider your intake, and maybe you don't really want to have full fat coffee after lunchtime. So we've said about what a healthy diet looks like, moving away from processed foods, but being realistic. Frozen vegetables are fine. If you're living on your own, then certainly if you're doing your shopping, say at a weekend, by Wednesday, everything's looking a bit limp and withered. So I totally understand if you only shop once a week, then actually some frozen vegetables or some tinned vegetables going to be absolutely fine. Review your portion sizes, okay? Just moving from a dinner plate down to a breakfast plate, which is halfway between a side plate and a dinner plate, just a slightly smaller plate. Over weeks, months and years, you are physically eating less food, all right? Same with your bowls, your mugs and your glasses, okay? So what I'd like you to do today in your journal is to just reflect on your relationship with food. Do you eat for great health? Do you eat to fuel your beautiful body? All right. It's the only one you've got, so start celebrating it if you're not celebrating it already. Okay. What dietary changes could you make to improve your health? Okay. So that's what you're going to write in your journals. What dietary changes? What changes could you make to improve your health? If you want to get smaller, okay, so I try and move away from using the words lose weight, because your body is made up of lots of different things. It's made up of fat, muscles, bones, water, poo, lots of other things, okay. On a fitness journey, all you ever want to lose is fat, okay? So you don't want to lose muscle. So, when you go to a slimming group and they just weigh you, if they don't know what you're losing unless you've got body composition scales, okay? Body composition scales will say you are this percentage fat, Emma, this percentage muscle, Emma. All you want is the muscle to be going up and the fat to be going down. But most people don't have access to that. But the great thing is they do have access to clothes. Ha ha. Fat is very bulky. Now, if I'm remembering this right, because I haven't used this example for years, but I know when I used to run Rosemary Conley classes, we used to have grapefruits and we used to have satsumas, okay? And I'm pretty sure it's £1. Let's see if any of my members can remember. But the volume, the shape, the size of £1 of fat, I believe, is a grapefruit size, and £1 of a fat of muscle is a satsuma. Okay, they're very distinctly different shapes. They weigh the same, but their volume is different. Okay, so just remember grapefruit and satsumas. Okay, they weigh the same. So you can tell in your clothes, hi Margaret, that you are getting leaner because your clothes are looser. That's what you need to be worrying about, okay? Don't worry about the scales, because the scales won't be a true representation of what your body composition is doing. Good morning, June, as well. So think about your shape. Now, I'm a great advocate of doing your measurements once a month. I've been doing it for probably the best part of 13 years. Just do your measurements. We've got a little card. If anyone wants me to post them a card, if you haven't got a card, you can just measure your bust, so your chest, which is where your bra band goes, your bust. I like to do my waist, which is that you slide your hands down at the bottom of your ribs before your hips. There's a gap. Sometimes I have to dig in a bit, but it is there. Go round, that's your waist. I will also do my widest part. So on my body, it's halfway between my belly button and my pubic bones, like that middle bit, okay? I do put the tape measure around there. I measure that, and I measure my hips. And I measure the biggest bit of my thighs, okay? That's usually about 2 inches from the top, okay? And I just do it once a month, That's all I do. Once a month, do my measurements. And then you can see over the months, over your health and, you know, your fitness journey, you can see your body shape changing. But of course, you wear clothes, you can feel it in your jeans. It's a good feeling, okay? So that's how I want you to be measuring your success, not hopping on and off the scales. The scales have some use. However, if they make you feel horribly miserable, frustrated, and the result is your mastermind eating, you know, I've started so I'll finish, or like, to hell with it all, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. That's not going to help you in the long term, okay? So you need to decide what is going to help you, okay? So I'm going to leave that up to you, but keep an eye on your body shape. So I hope that little talk about food, I mean, I thought that study, it's called the Predimed study, and I got it from a Michael Mosley book that I've been reading. He was saying about the incredible health benefits that the group allocated to the Mediterranean diet benefited, the breast cancer reduction and everything else that I said. Those are really big results, and that is the difference between a Mediterranean diet and a low-fat diet, okay? So in the comments, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that talk. Certainly in our 5 o'clock roundup tonight, let me know maybe some changes that you might be thinking about doing for your health. So have a great Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll be in touch online tonight. Bye.